All right, first rule of the channel, we not talk about this channel. Second rule of the channel, this is not legal advice. So this is going to be chasing the dragon for week 9 of fantasy football coming out of week 8. This is going to be the reactive waiver wire show. These are the guys that put up the points last week, and I'm going to hope to replicate that in my lineup going forward. This is not a particularly good week for chasing the dragon. I did have to go out and look at some of the other sites, what they were talking about. Like, you're looking at a mixture of, you're not in very competitive leagues if these guys are available, or there's just nobody out there. Like when I was trying to figure out like who everybody else was talking about, because I only really saw 2 that were available, or that I think should be available in most of your like okay competitive leagues. And then right now, like if Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver for the Browns, available, I don't know what to tell you about like how competitive your league is. Even my high school league, my less competitive league, he got snatched up with a waiver claim last week, with that expectation that 12 targets was going to somewhat remain consistent. And I believe he had over 100 air yards, 9 targets, 2 red zone targets this week. So yeah, going forward, like this is the thing, like speculate on these guys for a bag of chips. That means like if Cedric Tillman's not available, you'd be chasing after like your Jerry Jeudy's or your Elijah Moore's in that offense with James Winston. Those guys should have already been snatched up, with the exception of your Jerry Jeudy's and your Elijah Moore's that in your deeper leagues or non-deep enough leagues, like those guys I could see being available. They both had pretty close to like 100 air yards in this offense going forward to be speculating on. So again, like I can't imagine like what type of league that you'd be in if Cedric Tillman's already sitting on your waiver wire to be spending on. So the 2 defense that maybe you could be spending on this week, again, I think last week, if you were reactive or proactive, I mean, you would already have the Bengals going up against the Raiders next week. Maybe you could get the Redskins going up against the Giants. I don't necessarily think that's the greatest role. I'd probably be a little bit more interested in the Raiders right now, or the Bengals right now going forward. Keon Coleman, I got to talk about him. So he pops up again as like a chasing the dragon guy. Probably in your more competitive leagues, he should have already been snatched up. I'm not super interested in a guy like him. And if you're new to the channel, I don't think it's a very good week for me to be picking up any subs. But in general, these guys, I just don't have a lot of interest in. I don't know how they win me a league. He's going to probably give me a sub 40 degree day. And maybe the ability to like knife fight with like wide receiver 2 on a week-to-week basis. Like, doesn't have a lot of upside. Now, did have second most air yard, or I shouldn't say second most. He did have 81 air yards to Khalil Shakur's 18 air yards in this game. He did have 2 red zone opportunities, did tug on one of those things. Dalton Kincaid also had 7 targets and 2 red zone targets in this game. So the other thing is Amari Cooper was at 50% targets, or 50% snaps with 2 targets, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised that like Amari Cooper is not integrated into the offense until week 13's by. So like if you need a guy to plug in as like your wide receiver 2 or like your flex, and you are in a very competitive league and he's still available, yeah, there could be worse guys out there, but like like Lad McConkey, Cedric Tillman, some of those guys like probably should have priority because there's a better chance they're going to be able to win your league based off that. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the other guys that may be available in less competitive leagues, but the 2 bells of the ball when it comes to like, if you're in a competitive enough league that's deep enough that like should be available, like Jalen Colker, you probably have to be like in a really deep league to have been stashing him. We've been talking about him on after waivers for a while, so he pops up. I think he had over 100 air yards and 2 red zone targets. Gotta scroll down on my notes to look at him. With the other news that like Deontay Johnson is supposed to get traded this week, so like yeah, if he's available, like I probably would be spending on him. I imagine if Deontay Johnson's going to get traded, it will be tomorrow. Otherwise, he's going to miss another week on this one. The Texans, trying to find him. There's the Seahawks, the Ravens, Rams, Patriots. So right about here. So you're looking at 3 red zone targets, 103 air yards on his six targets that he had on 69% snaps. Now again, with Deontay Johnson missing, more than likely either missing or being gone, like you theoretically could get like the volume-based guy attached to like is what does not project to be a good offense, whether or not it's Bryce Young or Andy Dalton. Now, the thing is with Jalen Colker, they're probably going to be bad, and as long as Bryce Young is serviceable enough, which he was last week, yeah, you're probably going to get like somewhere in the range of like a wide receiver 2. And if I have to like knife fight for Keon Coleman, or basically pay a bag of chips for like Jalen Colker, like I should have been doing for the Browns offense last week. I'd probably be going after Jalen Colker when it comes down to that, especially because like with Keon Coleman, I could basically say like I don't know if it's going to be Dalton Kincaid week because Dalton Kincaid did have a touchdown pass, or if it's going to be a Khalil Shakur week, or if it's going to be a James Cook week, or if it's going to be the week where Amari Cooper becomes the number one in that offense. That's what you're going to be generally looking at with Keon Coleman. When it comes to like Jalen Colker, it's like, well, is it going to be an Xavier Leggett week? That's about it when it comes down to like if you're going to be getting that with Jalen Colker. So probably going to be a little bit more interested in that. Now, there is another guy that I will talk about real quick from a chasing the dragon perspective, seeing how we are looking at Deontay Johnson getting traded this week. Khalil Shakur, like he was a healthy scratch, would not be surprised that he gets traded. So like I would be stashing him. He's probably the number one running back to be picking up this week. If you want to be speculating on the ability to win a league based off of all that stuff. So a couple other things to be looking at, and I can bring up the scores. So we talked about this. Again, I don't know how competitive your league is. Bo Nick should have been gone already. Just the ability to nimbly bimbly fall in the end zone. He already had league winner written on him. He should be gone. Want to chase Matthew Stafford's 4 passing touchdowns with Puka and Cooper Kupp coming back. That's not necessarily a bad idea. If you need that type of thing, Justin Herbert, the interesting thing is the 449 and that pass or that rushing attack is kind of stagnating. So some of the receiving or the rushing work, some of the passing work may end up being consistent with Justin Herbert. And then Jameis Winston, like he probably should have been already snatched up and rolled going into this week, especially after what Baker Mayfield did to the Ravens. So if he's available, yeah, easy. And then Sam Darnold, again, chasing the dragon. This stretch of games that he's got with the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans might be a little interesting if you want to be chasing your touchdown passes. Now, running back wise, outside of speculating on your Khalil Herbert, Tyrone Tracy shouldn't be available in any competitive leagues. He should have been held on to after the week 6 and week 5 spot start. 67% snaps last week. Should have been held on to. If he's available, I'd probably be the number one waiver wire ad. 21-45 and a touchdown, 3 for 2 for 5 with the Giants. And again, they're a bad offense, but what else are you going to be chasing on that one? And then the other one, Raheem Mostert just pop up, 9 for 19, 2 touchdowns. I think he had more red zone opportunities, or at least rushing than A-Chain did in this game. But again, you're just generally chasing the red zone opportunities when it comes to him. Isaac Garriendo, chasing the dragon with the caveat week 9 bye for the 49ers. Week 10, we're expecting CMC back. But if you're the Jordan Mason owner or you're the CMC owner, I would probably be snatching him up and holding on to him. He may end up being the cuff for CMC. So either way, like if you're the Jordan Mason owner, I could definitely see that they could put him on an IR because they need that roster spot, which means like you may be tossing Jordan Mason to the win, and then you're gonna find out what happens with Isaac Garriendo as a lottery ticket. And the same thing if you're the CMC owner and you want to be holding on to him. Outside of maybe those two things, like I probably would put Isaac Garriendo more in the after waivers ad than the two guys I think would be reactive when I have to go pick him up, which again, the Jordan Mason owner and the CMC owner, when I'd be chasing those two guys. Wide receivers, we did already talk about most of these guys, like Ladd McConkey. I don't know how competitive your league is. Cedric Tillman, I don't know how competitive your league is. Josh Downs may be available, and I can definitely see that happening. But Anthony Richardson is like historically bad right now. So again, like chasing after like all 4 of these wide receivers had like close to 100 air yards, 9 for 4, 109 and a touchdown. They don't know if Anthony Richardson is even going to be the quarterback this week. That might be a little bit more interesting to me if it is Joe Flacco, how the offense is going to function. Calvin Austin, probably not interested in at all. Calvin Ridley, if he's available, maybe. I don't know how consistent you're going to get out of him versus some of the other guys that are out there. 15 for 10, 143 in this game attached to the Titans. Already talked about like Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur. In this one, Noah Brown, if you're wondering, that he's the guy that got the Hail Mary. That's where he got his stuff from. Jacoby Myers, if he's available, maybe. It's still going to be attached to a bad offense going forward in this one. Xavier Worthy, he was a pretty good, air yards were down, targets were up, two red zone opportunities, so that might be available. When it comes to tight ends this week, like Cade Otton should already have been gone as a unicorn, like probably the top waiver wire ad last week. From what I was concerned with, going after some of these guys like Adam Trotman. I don't think I would be tracing this offense when it comes out at 4 for 85 and a touchdown in this one. Um, Evan Ingram stock would go up. That would be more of an after waivers thing. Zach Ertz shouldn't be available. If he is, going after him. Brenton Strange gets a little interesting with the vacated opportunities. If you want to chase him as a streamer, 5 for 5 for 58. That's only on 38 snaps for him. And then Grant Calcaterra, 3 for 3 for 58. Like, he's probably the top ad from tight ends that shouldn't be available in most of your leagues. And Dalton Schultz, if he was dropped because of vacated targets, when it comes to Stephon Diggs going out in this one. And I think that's about it when it comes to, again, not a very good week from chasing the dragon perspective, unless you're in less competitive leagues that are shallower when it comes to benches or how many teams that you have out there to be able to go out there and get some of these guys. Otherwise, you're in a competitive league and you're going after your Jalen Colkers and Parker Washington. I think Parker Washington is probably a little bit more capped out as a wide receiver 2. Jalen Colker may have a league winner on him for the rest of the season, depending on what goes on with Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen. So anyway, that's what I got when it comes to chasing the dragon. If Cedric Tillman's available, go out and spend on him too. And I will hopefully get my after waivers done about normal time tomorrow.